Hello. I took my time. I took my time because no one else was here anyway. I just had fun setting up. I listened to a rampage of joy and I sang with the Burbies. I set up my soda pop, which I love, and my candy, which I love more. Earlier, I made sure Joe was around, who I love. I don't know if you can hear this, Joe. I just want to make sure it's heard.
Yeah, it's good to be in the company of Candy.
Good, I'm glad. So, okay, let's see. I'm logging in. I mean, if anybody popped in, they haven't, and that's fine. Um, I took a vote of about 25 people. Every single one of them wanted 8:30. I'm only laughing because I don't think they really did. I think they thought they did, but we've moved time a little bit more and more early, and there's less people rather than more people because we've got a night owl crew. We are the sentinels.
People just probably had good intentions for themselves to
I,
be earlier.
I totally concur, right? Like, just me even posing like I was like, well, maybe I could make it by 7:30. But I finally found honesty and was like, I think 8:30 is the earliest possible. What time do you guys think? So then everybody was like, oh, well then 8:30. It's like now I'm sitting here wondering, was that just like a fun challenge because they know that I'm a weirdo? But just for the record, this stream started at 8:28, and we monitored the chat and no one came in. And that's okay. That's totally fine. We're going to have a good time regardless. But for the record, I think it's mostly for me. I made it. I floofed made it. I asked
Congratulations.
people. Thank,
Congrats.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I asked. People said, this is what you want. I said, okay, I'll do my best to provide that. I did it. The fact that they're not here is irrelevant. I mean, I care about all of them and I hope they're doing fine and that kind of stuff. But I just mean, in the grand scheme of success, I don't need them to have been successful about making it on time. Just need me. I was listening to a rampage of joy. It was a good time.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. Is this a bad time for you though, Joe? Are you eating? Are you occupied in some way? Because I can do other things here.
No, actually, I ate in advance. I planned everything around this time. So I got everything together in advance.
Well, okay. Just taking a look here. Subscribe to this channel from another channel. I'm curious as to whether there's a notification that's gone out or not really. From another channel. Oh, no, I'm double back. Curious as to whether there's. Well, it heard me.
I heard you too.
I don't know why in the info box it automatically crossed something out. I did not cross that out, but I'm not really sure how that works.
What did you cross out?
Um, just when I was like, I inserted a little bit of just information about cost for, for readings.
Okay.
And, it says one question, 3 card pull with up to 3 support cards, $7. Well, it crossed all of that out. So I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's there, it's visible, and it's still the case, but I'm not sure really why that happened.
I don't know.
There's a cute new deck called Everybody's Oracle. I'm gonna have to look that over. Sort of reminds me. It's not kitten chops, but it sort of reminds me of that sort of playful art style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to look at that. Just anything that's. I've been contemplating, like, well, I mean, you know this. We're gonna make some cards. They might not be very artistic, but they'll be cards that are signifiers for a lot of the gods and goddesses in the Hinduism. Um, I don't know, spirituality, religion, faith. What's the right word?
Pantheon.
Well, pantheon is what I use for all of my. Well, I guess Okay, yes. I just didn't want to insult Hinduism by using the same word I use for my guides and angels and stuff when it's a whole thing
No,
that
I think
implies
usually
a lot.
when you have a collection of divinities,
It is a
under one
pantheon.
culture, they refer to it as a pantheon.
Okay,
So I think,
I didn't want to be insulting to
oh,
a
no.
much bigger pantheon. But so we're gonna make Hinduism the gods a pinup calendar, the gods and goddesses of Hinduism. We're gonna do cards, but I also have been thinking about. I've got a bunch of old like children's books. None of them are like first editions or anything. So when I say I'm contemplating cutting up the pictures,
I actually
yeah,
had a children's book with the Hindu gods, and it was pretty big, and they were the size of posters. And you could pull them out and put them on the wall and stuff. And so they introduced the main gods, and they had them in this cartoon style. It was really nice. I
that's
gave
cute.
it I gave it to my friend for his daughter, because well, it was just occupying space on my shelf.
Your friend from
Um,
work.
yes.
Okay, I figured. I thought so. I just was making. I don't want to say names, but
And the guy that illustrated it, I think he was an illustrator for Disney or Pixar or something like that. And it was really beautiful.
oh, that's fun. That's really fun. How many? Out of curiosity, do they consider to be introductory, like for young kids? Which gods and goddesses? I mean, roughly how many were included in a book like that?
Well, um, for sure, the three gods that make up the Trinity in Hinduism and their female counterparts,
So
right? So
Shiva and
that's
Shakti,
So that's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and their counterparts would be
Shakti.
Saraswati for Brahma, Lakshmi for Vishnu, and Shakti for Shiva. Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
I think I've got. I think my art is Shiva and Shakti, which I think is interesting because I think I'm a Saraswati kind of girl, but you never know.
yeah, I don't know. I think like they are sort of like female archetypes, right? And I think at different times in a person's life, you tend to embody one goddess or the other. And, nobody is always one thing. So like when I think of my mom, there are times, in her life where she was under the influence of different goddesses, if that makes any sense. you know
Yes.
yeah. So
Well, I mean, I grew up in Catholicism on one side, right, and then the Association for Religious Enlightenment on the other side, which actually aren't that far apart, really. But it's the Catholics that would be more insulted by that than the Association
right.
for Religious Enlightenment because they are not viewing
Yes.
themselves as a religion. They're an association, and there are people of many different religions that are part of their organization. But um, it is still extraordinarily similar. I mean, and actually, because it's a Catholic kid, right? You get a book with I don't even know how many saints, right? Um,
Yeah,
there's there's the Holy Family, and then there's the Trinity, and then there is disciples versus apostles, and then you get into saints. And I mean, they're sort of limitless. I mean, they're still making saints today.
it's really interesting because where I come from, the dominant Christian religion was Catholicism for a long time before the British took over. And there's a lot of syncretism between like Indian and African religion and the Catholic faith.
Yeah. Yes.
It was not sanctioned formally, but people sort of they take things in the spirit of their faith, and if it is an open type of thing that sees like, oh, these are the forms and the names under which this kind of energy is recognized, they just bring it in. So like my mother's altar had a picture of Jesus with the burning heart, next to the different gods, because it didn't seem to her to be something taboo or
Or
something,
different. They didn't need to other Jesus in order for their gods to still be potent and wonderful.
right.
Yeah.
Our family priest, when I was a very, very, very little kid, he said that if you want a good example of how to be a good Hindu, then Jesus is a perfect example. So, you know, and interestingly, it goes the other way as well. Although people that do that probably tend to cross some lines with their peers and their family and their group. But I've known Christians and Muslims and people of all kinds of different faiths and atheists, who take practices from different cultures to heart, and they they embrace it. So I mean, religion is man-made. I mean, uh,
I agree with that. I don't
so,
know everyone does, but I agree, as you well know. But
but
um,
but at the same time, if somebody is very faithful to their faith and they observe, whatever the prohibitions are and so on and so on, I respect that. I don't think that uh, they should be in any way ostracized for that, as long as they don't hurt anyone. You know because it's like everybody has their own path, and it may involve different things for different people. So you know uh, because I went to Christian schools, but was raised Hindu, and now I'm a strange sort of mishmash of all kinds of influences, so I don't really know what I am in that formal sense.
yeah,
um,
I mean, you were already somebody who was seeking and reading a lot about a lot of different things. Like my father certainly has, and then like do sort of. You guys do a much more intense. Well, I guess it depends on on the group. There are certainly groups where I've done a pretty intense deep dive, but you guys seem to be more like universally deep divey. Like, oh, okay, now I want to learn about the Kiwanis, not the Kiwanis Club, the religion in the islands, and
yeah.
now I need to learn all about the different
And I mean,
Swamis.
I learn a lot of that from my mother because, like, I found a book that she used to read this book so much that it literally became a deck of cards. The
Yeah,
binding on the book fell apart, and it was written by an American. His name was Dr. Donald Curtis, and he belonged to this church called Science of Mind. You know,
she just. I know you've spoken about it, but really quickly, she just inserted an idea. It was sort of something you collaborated together. She said, "Why don't you buy a softback copy and make a deck?"
well, here's the thing. I bought an actual physical copy because it was out of print for many, many years, and then I discovered it on Amazon. So I bought the physical copy, and I'm in the process of actually doing that because the book has 12 chapters, and at the end of each chapter, it has affirmations that's about a page long. right? So I sort of, for my own use, so that I don't violate any copyrights or anything like that, I sort of kind of putting them together, So I have like a virtual deck, I guess. I could print it, I suppose, but you know, so
Yeah,
that's been
because
something I've been
she was like, "You should use
working
those
on.
in your readings," just like, I'm gonna use these color swatch, postcards to do the
Right.
Hinduism, to do, I think,
So I'm
certain
I'm sort of like I'm halfway through. I have 12 of the affirmations down, um, compiling them into like a little graphic. Once I'm done with the other six, no, I said I have 12. I have six of the affirmations done. Once I'm done with the other six, I'll send it to you. But
yeah,
but
see what we can do
I
with it.
know that because before I even heard the word manifestation or stuff like that, I used to read everything in the house, so including my mother's books, and I used that book quite a lot when I was like studying for exams as a teenager and stuff. It helped me to focus, and it is based on Christianity, but he makes no bones about the fact that he has taken influences from other cultures, and but there are lots of Bible verses and stuff in that. And my mother was open and fine to that. So I think for somebody that wants to get into the idea of uh, affirmations and that kind of thing, and is afraid that it might be something frighteningly foreign, this book is a really good introduction to that sort
You
of
know
thing
what?
because
So let's bookmark it and save it for Monday classes,
right, yeah, yeah, yeah,
because that sounds
certainly.
like a good one. Your mother's also was sitting here recommending to me that I tell Mary, my friend, she thinks that she could do potentially a piece, like an art, since she's sort of been looking for projects and inspirations. She's sort of suggesting that she could do for each of the 12 chapters, she could paint one piece.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be fantastic.
and
Because I had this other plan. I was thinking about doing like a voice recording and finding some kind of video from nature or whatever, and speaking over it and doing like these short little clips,
well, you
um
can do both. She is a Luddite. She is not very much on the internet. They are having a heavy debate about if they're going to be attending Mondays here
okay.
because they want to, right? And it involves a lot of the things I've collaborated with them conversationally and otherwise in the past. And so they're interested, but the fact that it's on the internet makes both of them itchy.
A bit nervous. I totally understand.
So,
I'm weirdly, I have Luddite tendencies as well, even though my career is very much in the thicker technology. Um, but so I could relate. I totally get it.
well, yeah,
Uh,
but you and I, like we say, we use the word Luddite really loosely about ourselves because we're sort of more like, I am of the internet when it first began, right? Give me the chat rooms where no one could look at each other
from the
and
'90s,
figured out,
yes.
yeah, nobody had figured out the bugaboos of how to steal information from one another, at least not very many people. And so a chat room was a chat room, and it didn't have photos and video options and voice options. It just, so we're not really Luddites. We were using the technology. We just want the technology to be like it was back in our day. But like these two, they have one computer in the house, and it's, because they have to have an email address to sell her paintings. That's really
Well,
the gist of it.
I suppose they're just a Luddite from like a generation before us. You know. Um,
Yeah, but I mean, but they don't use. I mean, they just don't use them. They don't really prefer it. And I think eventually, I do feel pretty strongly that one day, I'm going to be involved with a website for her because I think her stuff
yeah.
belongs
No,
to. She's made so many of the amazing galleries here, and while we're not the world's biggest town, we are also a couple million. We're not the tiniest, and her stuff does so well. And I also often sit here feeling like, oh my gosh, people are missing out. you know, and um, and there's so many people in so many other places that would just because oh, listen, I think all art is energy to a certain degree, and all art changes things.
Yeah.
Um, Certainly, an original more than a copy, just because if you have an original, like you have a piece where somebody spent a lot of time with it, touching it, um, crying over it, dancing to music while they make it, fighting around their husband around it, fighting with their husband around it. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot more
Yes.
alive. And then also, because it's a one of the ways these days, one of the primary ways through which she expresses her personal like mediumship and clairvoyant aspect, uh, then they're even more magical. Really, they like if I move them, I can sort of triangulate energy in really interesting ways because I have so at this point I have so many of her pieces I've purchased over the years, but like um, I can move them around in a room. Even I've messed around with it when I've been bored, where it's like I'm gonna put this one on this wall, this one all in the same room, and I know that's too much energy and it's not gonna stay there long, but I want to see what happens when they triangulate because she has such a huge pantheon of collaborators on the other side that she's extremely aware of. Um, and so, their energy is all over it as well in a more vivid way than even if people know, hey, I'm collaborating with non-physical. Um, in her case, like she sort of consciously knows, oh yeah, no, these three were the ones that were really around the most during this particular painting, and then during this one, whatever. And then in terms of art, famous artists, the one that comes around all the time now for her is Chagall, Marc Chagall.
Okay.
He's the one that did the goats. Like, there's a lot of like lovers flying, like sort of floating. It sort of sometimes seems to be gravity seems to be not as big a deal, and it's often sort of romantic feeling paintings. But often, like there'll be a random goat there. Like the people have made jokes about like what is love without a flying purple goat, or um, he's extraordinarily whimsical, and you've seen her art. She also is extraordinarily whimsical. Um,
Well, as
and
somebody that had a little goat as a kid, I could certainly understand the how love could be improved by having a goat around. So why not?
well, I mean, I'm sure everything can be approved by anything, but like we all know that they're great for maintaining your backyard, and they're wonderful for um, practicing certain types of yoga. What is a bird beaky? Hold on, pull my earphone off here. What is a baby girl? Are you hearing something? What are you hearing? Bird beaky. What are you hearing? I love when you walk like that. I feel like you're Sherlock Holmes. It feels like you bring your wings and your hands together behind your back, lean forward, and walk back and forth like, well, Watson, let's contemplate. Let's talk it through one more time. Step one. Step two. Now, Watson, since our relationship is abusive and you were mid sentence, I shall say, begone, Watson. I need to play my violin. Beaky, 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 bird. I'm enjoying having this time too. A lot of times I'm like, I want it sort of would be too much to shuffle every single deck every single day, but sometimes I sort of want to. I like in my head they need oxygen,
Yeah.
and and so while of course I would love the abundance of reading for people, both because I would be able to help them and they would be able to help me, and I love that cycle so much. I'm also very much enjoying sitting here shuffling some of the decks I don't normally get to do. Like I'm doing my Terrell and Norman, which was I think my first ever deck um, gifted to me. and amazingly enough for me, especially because while of course I still am scattered, would be a polite way to put it. Um, at the time when I got these, like, hi, baby bird. Okay, oh, a wing. One of your big feathers flew off your wingy. Come here, honey bunny. You want to be over here, shuffling? Hold on. Let me put your feather down. Where do I want to put? I want to put it on the crystals. Hold on here. Do you want to come with me, or do you want to sit up there? Okay, she wants to sit up there for now. She's like, I just wanted to move closer. Okay, bird.
I think she likes to supervise.
Oh yeah. Well, she's the smartest one in the room. As the kids say, no cap. Um, but oh, so at the time I got these, definitely it was one of those things where if I got a card, like a greeting card in the mail, or if I got a book that had images in it, um, anything, I was going to be tearing that stuff up and using it to create something else. Do it
Mm.
like assemblage or collage or something. Um, and so the fact that I never did that with these meant that I was, I think, initially trying very hard just to be respectful of the person who gave them to me
Yeah.
because while I'd spent my life already at that point um, with living with different engaging with different levels of clairvoyance and audience and sentience and all of that fun jazz and um, however cards just hadn't really entered my space too much, um, partially because I'm less I don't I understand there are people that are very visual and they also really need to root to an object, right? And so it makes sense to me why. And the more I've used tools like this, and especially the rods, man, or pendulums or whatever, um, or runes, I understand it. I understand, you know, why people cling to them, right? Um, and certainly, if you are collaborating with someone on a reading for them or um, it is a way to sort of say, hey, this is where I am in my head because I can't just show them. Um, and so it roots our exchange. But yeah, I really at the time still wasn't sure I saw the need for a lot of the physical tools that a lot of people used. And so the fact that these are, I mean, I have the book, I have the original box, I have all of the additional little cards, that come in the top of any deck of cards, whether they are tarot or playing cards. I have every little thing. So that means I loved that lady.
Yeah, well,
Because,
my journey is sort of the reverse direction because I started off kind of wanting everything digital, and
digital.
organized, and yeah, so you have everything either on your machine or on the cloud and well organized and stuff like that. And then, as I started teaching more, um, I realized that there's some benefit to tactile stuff that, you just
Oh,
don't get.
actually, you and I are talking about the same thing then. We were the same way. So you wanted
Oh,
it digital, whereas I just wanted it in my head. Right? I
right.
wasn't. I mean, I wasn't talking about computers or technology in it in any way.
Right.
However, I was talking about my own cloud, my brain cloud, or the collective energy cloud, or whatever. But we were the same way, right?
Yeah, I just thought it would have been more efficient, because you could search things easier in a digital
Mhm.
place. You'll never really lose anything,
Yep.
which isn't true because I've lost lots of digital stuff. But it'll be it's easier to lose physical things. But the more of your senses that you sort of involve in something, the richer the experience. And eventually, I sort of found a medium ground. There's this guy that wrote a book called Steal Like an Artist. and he talks
I'm sorry,
about
what's the
how,
first word? Steal, Steal?
yeah, Steele
Okay,
like an
that's what
artist.
I heard. Okay.
I forget his name, but he's a really creative guy. And he talked about like his experiences where if you want to do something new and innovative, start analog, you know, and then when you want to refine it, then use the digital tools. And
Yeah.
I've felt that that's a really good strategy. So like I write with a pen on paper initially, and then sometimes would transcribe and do the editing on a computer. Some people would think that's wasteful, but the 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 corrections and the transitions and the ease with which they happen, it's far more efficient for me. You know.
Well, and it depends, I think, on which generation you went to school, because, for us, I mean, and it's still true, right? The literally the act of crawling as an infant, right? Being allowed to crawl a lot and crawling plenty has a lot to do with strengthening the parts of your brain that then learn to read. And just as that, happens, just like growing up, we had these family friends who their daughter was born perfectly healthy, just completely deliciously average, and then it was an accident, and then so she sort of started to fall behind developmentally, and lost the ability to speak and read, which she had already accomplished. And I remember crawling around with her a lot because they built her all of these tunnels that went in the house and out of the house and all these, so it wasn't too babyish, but it was still a lot of space to crawl. Um, and and it worked. The
Yeah.
crawling helped mend some of that brain damage much more quickly. She learned to read and write and speak again way more quickly because of this gentleman from Austria and his study about crawling. But so you likely work the way you work too, because you know we also learned a lot of things, and you did a lot of your early like brainstorming and developing and first drafts and because it used to be that way, like your first draft, anything you did in our age group was written on the page with some sort of writing utensil and your hand. And then sometimes there were teachers that required a final, more polished copy, and then you had to find a typewriter or a computer or a word processor of some sort, and place it on your place it onto that into that format towards the end. But all of the beginning work and editing and stuff all took place, pen in hand. Hi, Miss Cat. How are you? So it makes sense to me.
No, even in university, I mean, I'm giving away my age here, but when we learn to code, you would print out your not working code on these bits of paper that had perforated edges that were all connected, and you spread it on the floor, and you kind of follow the logic, with a pen. Nowadays people just scroll up and down on huge screens, right? But
Right.
you only got 30 minutes on the actual computer, so you spent most of your time with reams of paper trying to chase bugs, you know um physically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's kind of how I learned to write programs. So yeah,
That's
it,
sort
it
of
it is
cool.
different.
They should make a puzzle. If that's, they could make a puzzle for early early level programming, where you have to connect it in order of some kind. I
Oh,
know
they have,
thinking of my
they've done
kiddo.
that, but and I tried it with my students, but instead of just following the logic of the puzzle, they just tried stuff until they got the output, and usually the version they developed was like 10 times larger than it should have been. you know but I guess it's when you value the outcome more than the process. um the
Yeah. Yes. I
the
mean,
real thing is the process.
yeah, it's supposed to be the toy. It's the toy is the outcome, when
Yeah.
you're making it for that. How are you, Miss Cat? Tell us about you. How was yesterday? How's today? I'm to answer your question, I am joyful. I said I would start this at 8:30 and it started at 8:28. I wasn't like completely sitting here talking at that time at 8:28, but we went live. I'm very happy and that happened. And then we just sort of let it stay silent to see if anybody turned up for 30 minutes or so. And then when they didn't, we decided just to have a chat and have a good time. Can I see you? I can see you're typing. Is there a long lag on your end? I hope you can hear us. Okay, good. Okay, there's the answer. Slept late today. You saw that. Good.
I'm
Good.
going to mute for a minute and I'll be right back.
Okie dokie, artichoke. Yeah, I wonder how long the lag is. Okay, I'm gonna say a word and log down when I said it, and then if you would please, Miss Cat, play along and type it. I'm sure you're gonna hear this in the meantime, right, when it finally gets to you. But so the word is um, the words actually two words: cotton candy. So I said cotton candy at 9:36 my time. I don't know how many seconds, but okay. So it was about it was like 48 seconds between when I said cotton candy and when you typed cotton candy. Um, so that's a pretty decently long lag. I'm not completely sure what to do about that. Um, I'm not getting. Sometimes I do get in the past when we've had other lives, I get something that says like, "Hey, things are slowing down," but it doesn't ever seem slow enough in the chat to warrant like a complete reboot.
Are we having a lag problem?
Of about 48 seconds. Which, if people, if people were trying to ask questions during a reading or something, that would get pretty
Yeah.
convoluted. But I'm not exactly sure what it is we could do. I mean, if there were, if we had a bunch of people getting readings, I guess we could restart the live. But right now, that's not the case. So, and hopefully, it will just sort of recalibrate. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think of. I had this like huge flash earlier of like something to say to Kat about Fridays. About, oh my gosh, on Fridays we should totally do this. Oh, okay, now I remember. So I will write it down somewhere bigger right now so that I can tell her later. Oh, wow, I almost always bring a notebook over here, and I didn't this time. That's unusual. Hmm.
I'm sure there isn't one too far off.
Not usually. That's true. But I'm just gonna text myself. Okay. Well, I'm I'm on the ScreenYard end of things, and I don't really see a refresh. I'm gonna I'm peeking around just to see if there's anything, but to me it's like, gosh, if we refresh from this perspective, I think it would just end the live, and um, which honestly, if it gets to be too big and bad, um, we can in fact just start over. I was just sort of waiting to see if it was like people are gonna, people once they log out and log back in, it's fixed. Sometimes that can happen, and um, I can hear you. Well, I mean, I'm glad. That's good. Hey, Birdie. After I'm done with this deck, are you ready to come down here yet? You flew all the way over, or do you just want to sit up there and watch? You just watching and helping. We did our rampage of joy, sort of Hixian joyful meditation, and we talked about how we don't just learn to love better, um, but we are love. And once we um, get better and better at recognizing that we are love, especially in unique moments, we can really gift each other a type of presence in those moments that we can't always the rest of the time, didn't we, beekeeper baby? You were helping me be joyful. Oh, I see, Miss Cat. I wrote it down just because it was something. I mean, I know that there's no one else here right now, but it was something that like we can talk about here in a little while, especially if no one turns up for readings here in a little bit. We can just eventually, after some tenacity, kill the live and go elsewhere and chat. It's just one of those things where it's like I know there's nothing new under the sun, so I don't always think like, oh, my ideas are amazing. But when I have one where it's like, oh, I don't see anyone else actually doing that, so perhaps it will help differentiate, our situation from others, and it will also, um, I think, maybe just serve our interests as well as we do the things we do on Fridays. Um, I feel like you were gonna have a big was it Tuesday that you were gonna have a big day?
Who are you referring to?
It's Mr. Pixie's birthday. I don't think I blew him up. Didn't blow him up
Yes.
yesterday.
No, that was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, usually I blow people up. Well, I'll do a belated blow up for him on the channel here later. But oh,
I,
Mr.
I,
Pixie, I'm sorry.
I hope he enjoyed his dinner.
His dinner.
Yeah, the family is taking him out to dinner for his birthday.
I will see. I think the reason why it didn't click for me is because I just thought with the poison ivy he wouldn't be going much of anywhere.
Oh,
So I think when they were talking about it, I was like, well, that
that's
sounds like
probably true. Yeah.
a dentist appointment. Oh, fun, funness. Oh, these are adorable. How big are? What is the measurement on this book? Whoa, it's an
Oh,
expensive book though. Never mind.
yeah. I
Wait,
got it.
is that your currency?
I don't know. Is it? I hope so,
I do
because
too. Otherwise,
then it'll be a lot cheaper. Yeah.
well,
Um.
yeah, but also, like, I mean, that's, I don't think I've ever purchased a book that costs that much. It's not for like university, you know?
Yeah. Hang on. Let me see.
Like,
Um.
if I put it in my, I'm just going to put it in my cart. And,
Oh, that is probably in my currency because it has delivery set to my so it should be about a sixth of that.
well, it went right in my cart though and didn't say anything about, I'm proceeding to check out. I don't have this money, in an account anyway. Oh, okay. I see why. I'm not signed in. I clicked on that link in a place where I'm not signed in. So
Oh,
it's like it's not registering where I am, period. So
okay, yeah.
I was like, why is it letting me proceed with buying an absurdly expensive book? Well, the Queen Cat will be receiving a new crown tomorrow.
The queen.
She's a dentist. We were talking about her dentist appointment. I don't know if you can see
Oh,
chat.
oh, right, right.
The queen, yes. Well, she's our queen. Also, she is getting a new crown tomorrow. Oh, we could talk about this though, Kat. So you sent me a link. Um, it was about. It was a post that someone that you, a channel that you that you were close with. I think. I think I'm not misspeaking. Where it's a recent Summer Wells video, and but it was a review sort of all past like readings and like I keep always want to say EVP, right? Because I'm old. The ITC, I think it's ITC now, right? EVP, and then it's ITC. Now I've got to look it up, but um, and I wondered what I wondered which part that you sent. And again, if this is something you want to talk about in private as well later, we can. But I don't want to forget asking the question. And if you want to talk about it publicly, that's also fine. But I was curious of that video, what part you were like trying to highlight for me, where you were like, look at this. Yes, yes, electronic medium with the gorgeous red hair. I have no idea what I was doing now. I had my phone out and I was getting ready to search for something. That's nutty. It just went straight over my head. It bypassed me. Right before right before I was asking Kat that question. I don't know what we were talking about. My goodness. Oh, that's what it was. The new words for EVP. Okay. Okay, so I knew EVP, right? It's been around a long time. It stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. And then ITC is an abbreviation for Instrumental Transcommunication. So, yeah, so instrumental transcommunication versus electric voice phenomena. Good. Oh, I was going to ask Joe, that book, though, you said, well, what do you think the measurements are?
Oh, if you look on the Amazon link, they actually have a, a set of drawings showing you how big it is compared to like a human.
Oh, a human. Oh, wow. They're really big, huh?
No, they're not that huge. Um,
They're comparing
but
them to a human. I thought you were going to say compared to a book. Let's see here.
like they have some images. So it's like 16 inches tall, I think. No, the Amazon link still says it costs over $300, but when you go to Barnes and Noble, the same book is $22.
$22.
So I don't know.
Oh, so it says this vibrant, eye-catching poster portfolio book, now in a new resized edition, features 12 9 by 12-inch removable prints.
Oh, so that's a new version of the book.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a resized. So 9 by 12 inches here. Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
But that measurement they showed about 16 inches tall. That's about the size of the book that I had.
So I like. I mean, I already have one deck that's like 9 by 6 inches. They're big and interesting to handle, but these would be fun to shuffle even the big size. And then if they became problematic, I could take photos and print them out on my computer and make them cardstock size. I have to remember the clip. A book since 16 inches tall. Pass. Well, they are. We were talking about this a little bit at the beginning, uh, because
But
it's
but the
something we've been talking
Barnes
about
and
behind the scenes.
Noble site also says 12 removable prints, and it's 22.95.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand the difference in price.
Well, I think one has to be a different currency. But
Yeah.
so the 16-inch tall book, and now it's a 12-inch tall, which is a little more normal for a book, for a children's book. But um, I we've been discussing and sort of working on like the pre-work, um, taking some of the card stocks I have here and making uh, decks out of many of the gods and goddesses in Hinduism. And then Joe was reminded of a book, a children's book that introduces 12 of the significant gods and goddesses of Hinduism to children. And so the art style is really fun and looks like animation. And I think you actually said it's artists from like Pixar or somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
he worked in Pixar, Disney, or one of those companies.
So they would be really
And
fun to use.
yeah, and he describes the symbolism and what the
Baby.
different things mean and so on and so on. So it's really it's a really lovely book. Um,
Do you want to be a celebrity just for a minute, Beaks? You came down here. I'm gonna lower my camera because I don't really want to be a celebrity, but you could be. You're so gorgeous. Now, of course, I can't see the chat, but this is Inky Beakerstein. She goes by Beaky. Cheeky bird Beaky, Beaky bird baby, baby bird Beak, Beaky bird Bee. And these are all things she says, but probably won't say in this moment because she's like, I'm embarrassed. It's almost bedtime and I'm on the internet. How dare you? I know, I know. She's like, no, I don't feel that way. I'm beautiful. I know you are, sweetheart. I'm just being silly. I'm being silly. You know that you're gorgeous. You told me one time you wanted to be famous. I'm gonna look at my phone to see the chat because I'm not gonna back it on up to. Okay, let's see. Bird Beaky. Oh, I'm seeing you on the internet. Oh, Cat was thinking of the thickness of the cards. Okay, now I can see it. Sorry. Now I can see the chat without. Bird Beaky. The new baby is the same type of beard, but which is green cheeked conure. However, she is called a cinnamon pineapple green cheek conure. So her her hair and on her head, her feathers on her head, and um, chest especially, but then even it's sort of dirty blonde. That's how we would describe it in human colors on the head. She's sort of dirty blonde, and then the the neck and like upper chest are sort of like like a buttery yellow, light butter. Um, and then where they're meant to have like dark, there's dark green feathers back here. The other lady has, the other birdie has green feathers, but they're way more of like a bright grass green or Kelly green. And instead of like the red crest on the chest, it sort of looks coral colored, but they're the exact same bird, which is interesting. The other one also is pretty significantly larger, um, because the other one is 9 months and is already way bigger than this lady here. Way taller. Feet and beak look huge in comparison, and way more broad shouldered, all that kind of stuff.
You said she looks like a Nordic model.
Yeah, like if we were using like human metaphors, right? She'd be like a Swedish, a Swedish or Swiss um, model, um, or someone of that heritage who like grew up in the northern U.S., right? Where they say "don't you know" and all that kind of stuff, just like Fargo. and so she would be, you know, she's a tall, leggy blonde. Honestly, tail colors are similar. So this lady here is crimson, and the other one again has red in the same place, but it's like a brighter red. So, oh, there's like a. What's she doing? Why are you biting? Okay, love bites are fully welcome, but the other kinds I don't know about. Um, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, she's just she's the tall leggy blonde, and and Beaky just isn't. Yeah, I'll be excited when I can hold the new one and show her. Um, or he. I mean, we don't have that information factually, and I have not asked Rods or Dex or anything about Birdie's gender yet. Um, but I've been thinking that might be a boy. What are you doing? You stretching your wingies? Are you looking at yourself? Say, I am. I'm famous, Mom. Look at me, I'm famous. Sorry, Beaky. Have you ever been a bird owner, Miss Cat? Have you been a bird person? Joe was had an in-law that was a he had an in-law bird. One of his brothers-in-law was a parrot.
Yeah.
And they still live in the same building.
Yeah, he lives upstairs.
So we can hear him all the time.
Well, I think you and him used to have conversations
Oh, a
because
lot.
they have very, very sharp sense of hearing. So, you know, I think he's probably hearing you now.
Oh yeah. I mean probably. Ouch. I don't know. I don't think so. I think if she was seeing herself on the camera too much, she'd be like charging it just to get closer and just make sure. Once she gets a certain closeness and realizes it's her, usually she gets disinterested. I sat for three um, with Sisters Cherry Headed Conyer. Cherry headed. Yeah, I saw them just on the list the other day when I was looking up what the heck is a cinnamon pineapple. How are you cinnamon pineapple but also still a green cheek when you don't have green cheeks? Why are you getting so rough? Do we need to turn the camera off? Turn the camera off? I think we should, huh? I think we probably should. Yeah, I think we should. So you should say, night night to my beautiful self. I'll try and come on and do a reading soon. I've been playing with mom's cards and hopping around on them sometimes, so maybe I'll do readings. Readings with Beaky, 50 cents a piece. Help her buy her millet, keep her in millet. There we go. Okay, now are you going to calm down a smidgen, Pigeon? Oop, nope, I did not turn the camera off, which I did not really want to see me. That's all right, though. Whoopsie doopsie. What is the name of your sister's conure? Joe, you got really quiet. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I'm just so used to background noise, I couldn't tell if you were muted or if you'd gone somewhere.
Well, I'm glad that the background noise isn't that bad anymore.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome because it was a little noisy on stream, but more worrisome was like the fact that it was like freaking animals out. And
Yeah, I bet.
oh, Cat says night, baby bird. Good night, baby bird. Yeah, see, immediately when it's like, oh, okay, no pressure, no pressure, we're much more calm, aren't we? Yeah, and we're even doing our duck. Doing whack, whack, whack. Are you a duck? Maybe, baby. Okay, I'm gonna walk you over to your nest. I'll be right back, everyone.
Oh, did somebody join you?
Who's joined you? I don't know. It might be me. Remember, I logged in on my phone because I couldn't see the comments. So here, I'll beat feet out of here and see if I dip away or if the person count changes. I'm guessing it will. It's probably just me. Okay. I went away, so now I'm curious if it disappeared because on the StreamYard end here, it's never changed. Yes, exactly. May have been puppet reading chat. So I think my intention for now is, let's see, we started talking sort of officially like an hour and 8 minutes ago. So somewhere between 30 minutes and an hour of something here, maybe. And then if we don't have any traffic, or maybe just 30 minutes will be the goal. If we don't see more traffic in 30 minutes, maybe Kat, you and I could go and somewhere private and or if you want to do it on here, we can. It's up to you. But um, you could come on and we could do practicum with rods because the next time we'll be popping up here will be Friday. And I think I've only received 2 or 3 um, crime recommendations. And interestingly, I did have a dream about one of them last night. So, but I don't know anything about that case, which I guess in some ways might be good if we were going to cold read it. But since that's not our main goal, I need to make sure in some capacity, that it, just because it was recommended doesn't, I don't know for sure, like, has it been solved? Do they pretty much have it solved? Those kind of things. Hold on one second for the sound of silence. Oh, sure. To which shorter reading live? Do you want to practice with Rod's live, or do you want to practice on the yard? Sorry, I missed that for a second. From the flyer? Which flyer? Which flyer? You're talking about the thing. I'm talking about the person Miss Claudia sent us. I guess it might have been on a flyer. Yeah, it had one photograph, so that might have been a flyer. Hello to whomever joined the live. It's nice to see you. Unless now Joe's taking a peek at the live.
No, no, I'm still here. I haven't peeked in on YouTube.
Yeah, I did when I was trying to figure out how to look at the chat. Joe also talked about Peggy Carr, which is a very old case,
Yeah,
but
1989.
um, I think it's 86 based on what you said. But
Was it?
I think so. But I haven't done a ton of research yet. However, it was mentioned that it's controversial.
Well, the
Family
controversial bit is that
family
the
are not
the
happy with.
the guilty party is still awaiting execution because he was sentenced to death. So and the family is a bit impatient with that. So that's the only controversial bit. And I mean, if you want to stay away from that, that's totally understandable, you know.
I mean, I think overall guides are gonna guide what direction regardless, but
Yeah.
I mean, I have a lot of cases that I fixate on, so I don't know if that's the best barometer anyway, but my brain can't stop analyzing Miss Rachel Morin either. And I mean, I know in her case, they're pretty certain they know who, well, I mean, they know who at least based on DNA, right? Um, but it's one that my brain can't let go, like even when I want it to.
Well, I guess when you approach the guides, there might be a reason for that, and you know, you'd, you'd find out.
In connection with that, I know that some people um, have immediately written off the teacher that went missing on a trail, like less than an hour away from there. But I don't know. And again, maybe there's again because when once we got the go ahead to or the push to start doing this stuff, I've paid less attention to try and sort of clear the energy around some of the cases and stuff. So I don't know if they've already located that lady or what, but I still am a little twisted in the head that she might be a potential other victim. But they haven't found her physically last I knew anything about it.
Right.
And of course, the young lady who the DNA was originally found on was a minor. Um, and so they haven't shown her, right? And of course, I don't want them to, but I am wondering if there's a visual type for this person. Um, because while, of course, there were an enormous amount of differences between Rachel and the teacher, there were a lot of facial similarities, in my opinion. Oh, teacher was found perp too, so it was just one of those weird things, huh? Ooh, I need to look that up. I'm looking that up because, again, I stopped I think they were the same state, though. Let's see. Okay, now I know her name. Miriam, I think. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Mariame. Sila, or yeah, I think it's Sila. Um, I don't, I don't see, I don't see the. Let me see if I look it up a different way. Okay, okay, okay. I see now. See, yeah, it's as soon as we as soon as we talked about doing cases, or were instructed to do cases rather, um, they they released information because apparently there were witnesses. It looks like. Okay, yeah, 5 days ago they found her physically. Is then after they held a press conference, a concerned citizen called after finding some remains, and they kept it quiet for a while that had been found, and they have somebody in custody. Use the park at the same time. I'm not seeing yet, I'm not reading everything though, but I'm not seeing yet, like, if they have a DNA match or if it's just he came into the park at the same time. I'll have to read about that. Well, I'm very glad for her family because I'm sure, you know, especially if this was random, because they're saying it doesn't. They're at this juncture they hadn't found any connection between the two of them in any way. So, if it was random, then I'm sure she's thrilled for her community, you know, as well as her family that lives in that area, that he's off the street. Yes, yeah, there was. It looks like it's from the article, a good Samaritan found a good portion of the remains, like around August 1st, and then I think and that was really not too long after she went missing. But um, and so and they were pretty certain, I guess. I don't know if there were clothing items around or personal belongings. I don't know, but they were pretty sure from the beginning. But they were, of course, waiting for lab results and things while they stayed quiet. But they apparently were watching this fellow, and they're saying that they can't find the connection between the two of them other than they had factual knowledge that he was in the park at the same time. Now I don't know if literally no one else was in the park at that time or if there's other reasons, but they did like arrest him initially on old traffic charges, like pending traffic charges, which is how they've gotten some really famous serial killers.
Oh yeah.
And like, like Al Capone, they got him on tax evasion. So
One of my friends, his mother is a historian, and she says that they know exactly what the Emperor Akbar used to eat because of the records they kept in the tax office. You know, so
wow.
she says historically, the generals and all these other people may not keep records of the wars and so on, but the financial people always kept records for taxes.
And
So
where they
if
had
you
lunch and stuff.
what they had for lunch, and he used to have some very, very elaborate meals. In fact, there's a restaurant there that's run by the descendants of his cook that still serve the meals that they used to serve the emperor way back when. But
Wow.
the point is, if it wasn't for the tax records, we would not have known. So yeah, you know.
That's cool. It's like there's a whole channel devoted to cooking the different dishes in different classes on the Titanic. I don't know if you've
Oh
seen that
wow,
on YouTube.
that would be interesting.
He'll be like, well, "Okay, we're in we're in third class today, and it's breakfast. And on this day, these were their options for breakfast, but we're gonna make just this one thing from the menu." Well, I'm very sorry for Miriam, but I hope that means that she has peace and her family at least isn't living in fear, and her neighborhood. Um, so okay, because it's almost 10:30, I think I'm gonna do a general read for the collective, just a short one. I'm asking for guidance about what deck. Okay, and then I'm gonna close the live out. Oh, come on, I've got one card stuck at the bottom of this little storage thing I use. Come on, there we go. Sometimes I don't ever know. It's like when things like that happen. See, there was a toss up between two different decks, right? It seemed like one deck won, but just barely. Like there was another energy that was interested in the other deck. Maybe I'll do 3 and 3. Is that good? Yeah, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was asking. I was asking my guides, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay. I'm glad it's okay with you as well.
Yeah, I'm usually agreeable.
I don't know. I can't remember what country she was from either, but I do know she taught at the French magnet school. She spoke French, and her name is very French sounding. Um, so I do think it's safe to say she's from a French speaking area, but I don't know what that means in terms of country because That could be a few number of places. Okay, so we're going to use this deck, and we're going to use this other deck, and we're just going to do a brief reading for the collective. I'll, for my own brain, I will announce at what point in the live that starts so I know when I can snip it off and cut it down. Oh, African country is probably, well, along the Ivory Coast because that's where they speak en français, right? But there's a few different places there that speak French.
I
So
think
I'm
Tunisia speaks French as well.
okay as we shuffle archangels, angels, guides, and ascended masters. This is just going to be a general reading for the collective, meaning anybody who chooses to peruse this video. I'm not sure if I'll leave the live up. There's no reason to take it down though, but I'll snip this out and trim it so that we can have this little reading for the collective available. And what do you think, guides? I don't know that it should be like a forever thing, right? Because energies change, but how long would this reading be good for, in your opinion, you guys? Okay, they're saying a week because they're saying whether or not people turn up for readings next Wednesday, they'll have me do another general read for the collective for sure at that time. So this is good for um, from Wednesday, September the 6th, 2023 to Wednesday, September the 13th, 2023. And we're going to see what they say. But as I shuffle the deck again, this is for anyone who may stumble upon this reading. Will likely be separated from the live in the next 7 days or so. A general read. Okay, you guys want me to shuffle these others before we lay out these? Okay. For the collective, good from September the 6th through the 13th, Wednesday to Wednesday. Archangels, angels, guides, and ascended masters, please help us give the collective a decent general read. Please help my brain to connect properly and convey this message clearly. And please allow it to reach those that need to hear some element or factor in the reading for whatever it's going to wind up being about. Please and thank you. As always, archangels, angels, guides, and ascended masters, thank you so much for all of your help and protection and guidance. Every breath of my life, every breath, every second, minute, hour, day, week, month, all of it. Thank you. And I would like to thank you on behalf of my loved ones as well. Thank you so much for those that guide and watch over my loved ones and the world at large, because they are my family as well. Thank you so much for all the things you do for us and with us, and the collaboration that we have together that keeps Earth just chugging along. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do any of it. So thank you so much. Somebody who I don't believe is one of my angelic folks, although they would say this if they felt like it, but I think this is my friend Chris, but he said, "What a kiss ass." Okay, so we're going to start with this one. So So this is a reading for the collective, and we'll see what the message is going to be over the course of the next week. Please and thank you. Okay. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. Oh, they were ready to throw down there. Okay. Moving to the second deck here. Oh, things are just throwing themselves out, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, hold on one second. There's a flying bird. Sorry, that was a lot of different things at once. Um, so while I had a beloved kiddo talking my ear off, I decided to sort of take a look at these cards simultaneously, because in this collective reading, it's definitely talking about um, needing to simplify things, just sort of universally speaking. Um, so it really is. It's talking about moving away. You may have a lot of sort of abundance in flashy ways, whether that's things or spending a lot of time like out and about or at restaurants, or but the focus, it seems like it's the cards are saying consistently in this reading, hey, the focus has been on um, taking assessment of how you are doing by outward standards and societal standards. So, how do things look, right? Does your job look good? Do your clothes look good? Does your car look good? Is the person on your arm a good match for you? And they're saying, sort of, it would be wise, since this is for the collective. They're saying, really, it's time to turn inward and take stock of all the things that you find there, to spend less time with the flashy things and the flashy parts of life, and um, on focusing on appearances, and spend more time enjoying all the other gifts that you have been given in life, but by which they mean the things you were born with, not the things that you have been able to purchase, or even if you were born into a wealthy family. They're talking about your gifts, your natural born gifts. So they're sort of saying, hey, there's a pretty strong focus on the outward and how things are looking and society and all of that stuff, and it's going to serve everyone extremely well if they pause that and step away from that flash for a moment and let their eyes readjust to the normal light and not this fancy metaphorical strobe light of the fancy nightclubs and stuff, and then take stock in their quiet spaces in their homes, with first within themselves. There's a lot of taking stock within yourself, like, if I didn't have any of this, right? If my power was shut off and um, my internet was shut off, what would I want to be doing here? What about me would I want to be improving? Is it my imagination? Is it um, my some sort of skill? But again, it's like it's a skill that is non-digital, non non-fancy, right? So the types of things that they're talking about are they're painting, sewing, cooking, singing, all things you can do with very little supplies or money. They're wanting everybody to first take stock of how to do that to entertain themselves. And at least if you're not going to do it like completely, if you're not going to really literally unplug, right? Um, but they're saying spend some good time, whether you're journaling about what you really enjoy about yourself, completely stripped down of all artifice, and what things and natural born talents you have, and why you enjoy them. And then, like, if you love to sing, spend some time singing. If you love to cook, spend some time cooking. It's not just about what you're good at, it's about what you love. And then they're saying bring it a little bit out from yourself and within your like tiny circle, your home, maybe your immediate friends or family. Really do sort of more old-fashioned things with them. Have a lot more conversations, um, rather than sitting still and watching TV or sitting there and playing a video game, play a board game instead. Um, instead of just looking at their digital social media wall to see what they're up to, ask what they're up to, and then if it's um, if it's something that's, digital, they're saying then ask more. Ask, well, what about books? What books do you like, or what do you like to do without technology? What are things that you really enjoy, and talk about those things. Um, they're saying there's going to be an amazing amount of happiness in that for all of us. Um, we're going to find that we feel considerably, if we start um, doing this kind of stuff. Well, this is just for this week, right? But they're saying try it this week, and if, gosh, there's certain things you find you absolutely love to do and you forgot, do more of them, even if that means you're off the internet. Um, Try to do more of those things, because a lot of good things will come if you just add a little bit once you do the self exploration about um, what are the things that I love to do, and let me find out about the people in my home too. What are things that we can do together? Once you've spent some time figuring that out and dabbled a little bit in what those things are, they're saying, honestly, there might come a time, I'm not sure what this means, I'm not going to even jump to any kind of conclusion. They're saying there might come a time when it will be really important that you know what makes you happy without all those frills. I don't know what that means, and I don't want to jump to conclusions or make any assumptions, but they're just saying, hey, it might be smart to know what you like to do without technology just as much, um, and to practice that, because it is something that we're all out of practice, playing a board game instead of a video game, and reading a book instead of Reddit, and you know, instead of doodling on our tablet, doing it like just on a piece of paper. They're also saying if we just add that into our practices, I don't know, just a little more than we normally do it, we're going to find we feel less stingy about the cash, because we're going to be sort of shocked at the fact that whatever, a lot of people anyway are going to find that, oh my gosh, I reduced, the number of times I rented movies or games, or I reduced the number of times that I paid for this or that online, and I'm feeling less like anxiety about my money situation just by these tiny choices. And there are things that I find I really enjoy to do. The best things in life are free kind of situations, and they're saying just putting a little bit more of this into practice is going to improve the overall happiness of everyone involved. Um, and I'm hearing now, though, like, of course, it's good for everyone. And I mean, like, it ends with the sun supported by the Nine of Cups, which is optimism, joy, happiness, vitality, right? If you if you start practicing these things, you're building up some peaceful space in your mind and also in the energy around you, because when those devices run 24/7 around you, you know they create energy of their own kind. So they're saying it sort of would serve as an energy clearing and a mind clearing, and you'll rediscover things that you like to do, and who knows, those could be things that you like to share with others. It could wind up being lucrative, I'm not sure, but they were saying a minute ago that not only will you be happier as long as you're just doing this moderately. They're not saying become a homesteader, but just find a couple of things to replace some of the electronic things you do just for this week and see what happens. And they're saying, my gosh, one thing is for sure. The animals around you that you love and that love you, and the children around you that you love and love you, are going to really enjoy that. Of course, the kids, there might be some parts where it's like if you told them to get off their electronics, of course, they might be feeling a certain type of way. But if the only time you ask them to get off their electronics is to come play Scrabble with you or Monopoly. I think it looks like their mood would change really quickly. It's just looking like they're trying to remind us how to connect without the ability, without the internet, sort of, and video games and things. And there is an indication that if we practice that, no matter what happens in the future, and there is some sort of reference to a future where, you know, we might need to be okay with being without the tech. But that could be any number of things. Just look at all the things that have been going on, just with the weather and things, and all of the people who have been out of power. And so even when it's not been an absolute disaster, people are still running out of power, and they're going through huge, enormous tech withdrawal. They don't know what to do with themselves, and they're standing somewhere funny in their neighborhood trying to get a Wi-Fi signal, when they're saying if we just add just the teensiest bit of non-digital play and enjoyment into our life every day, add just a little bit, then when the time comes, if the time comes, but when the time comes that it's something that's important to do, that you're not able to access these other things, it won't be so shocking, and it won't feel so terrible, and it won't feel like like a withdrawal. It'll be like, you know what? I'm awake to this, and I accept myself enough to know that I'm enjoyable to spend time with just myself, and I can be happy just singing today and playing board games and card games and playing ball with my dog and that kind of stuff. Um, and so that's what I would say, is that they're just advising that you take. It's almost like adding a vitamin or something, or a supplement to your diet. They're saying add the vitamins or supplement of non-digital enjoyment to your life. And you can play around on your own and figure out whatever that is to you. Books, board games, crafting supplies, um, gardening, juggling, hula hoop, fire wrangling. I don't know, but they're just saying really, really, really take it like medicine, just a little bit every day. Um, and so that if there comes a time where maybe we're stuck back at home and there are power failures or something, we're not. Also, the other thing is, I just heard a guide say, when that stuff happens, when the power goes down, and we're not used to entertaining ourselves in different ways, and we are powerful manifestors, everything gets all messed up for a while, right? Because there's just a couple days there where we're without that power, and we're like panicking and setting up.
Did your audio just disappear?
Crap. We've just
Oh,
enjoyed ourselves in that window of time, and so then the next things that are coming towards you, because you've manifested them, are of much greater peace. They hold much greater peaceful value, um, when you're not suffering through withdrawals, um, because you know exactly what makes you happy without a computer. So that's just the general collective advice. I'm tempted to, but I'm not going to pull a card about why they're saying, hey, you might need to know how to do this, because the thing is, um, the future is always changing, and there's free will, and there's all kinds of things that can change anything from one hot minute to the next. So they're just sending us the loving message and an idea of, hey, this you should practice this. We love you, and if number one, this is just something you need to do to be happier and healthier in general. You need to add a little bit every day, but also, um, then if anything were to happen, my goodness, you'd be much happier. And then, in spite of other things that might be going on, that might be something that make you nervous or distressed, um, you won't be adding on to it going through these technological withdrawals or not knowing how to spend time with your family, because you'll automatically be prepared emotionally just as much. Like a lot of people talk about prepare a go bag if there's a national disaster or a flood or whatever, but they don't talk about prepare yourself, prepare your psyche, prepare your body and your mind and your spirit for um, how to entertain yourself and how to find joy, if there comes a time where you need to do it offline. And I think that's sort of what they're talking about. So, um, Kat says she wants to juggle fire hula hoops. I love her. Um, I always love her sarcastic sense of humor. But so yes, that is the um, quite lengthy, or lengthier than I intended, because I always talk too much. Reading for the collective to be for from September 6th through September 13th. I'm going to kill the live stream in just a second. Joe, thank you for coming. Kat, thank you for coming. I'm probably going to be talking to you both more here in just a minute. Um, I really enjoyed this, even though there weren't many of us here. This was a fun time, and I look forward to a future when more and more people come and enjoy the space that we're starting to build. So, sending everybody love and light and fiery, juggly hula hoops, and we'll talk to everyone really soon.